So we got that going. We're recording. We'll do the intro stuff. We got Daniel here with us. I feel like Dan.
I feel like Dan.
Yeah, we got the intro.
Chat with
Remote only.
Photography chat with Merlin.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Awesome, man. Well, how's your day going? What's good out there?
It's pretty chill. I just worked basically, and then set up my little desk area for this, and then now I'm here.
Nice. That's good. Dude, I gotta say, I don't know if anyone's ever mentioned this to you, and I hope you don't take offense by me mentioning it, but you give me mad Dom DeLuise vibes.
Dom DeLuise? Who's that? I got my laptop with me. I'm gonna Google it. Dom.
So, here's a funny thing. While you're Googling that, I was having burgers with milk only, the dude that did the intro track yesterday, and I was showing him your picture, and I was like, I'm really stoked to interview this dude because he like totally reminds me of fucking Dom DeLuise. The dude's a legend, and he's like, that dude's not gonna know who Dom DeLuise is.
I'm looking at pictures of him. Me and him got the same look, the same like cap and the beard.
Dude, it's the cap. Like the picture you sent me for your profile shot where you got that like sideways cap. It totally reminds me of it. Dude, Cannonball Run. If you've never seen Cannonball Run, you should watch that one. Run. It's a sick, I think it was like maybe late 70s, early 80s movie. He was with
from 81.
Yeah. Dude, that was when I was born. Damn. He was with Burt Reynolds. He co-starred with Burt Reynolds, and Cannonball Run was a movie about a legendary race called the Cannonball Run, which was like a race from New York City to the Portofino in California. And Jackie Chan was in that shit too, young Jackie Chan.
Oh shit, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking up the actors. You got Dean Martin, Jackie Chan, Roger Moore.
Oh yeah, Dean Martin was in it too.
Sheesh.
It was an action-packed one. So for all you youngins out there that want to see a classic movie, check out Cannonball Run. Smokey and the Bandit's also another classic, but that's more Burt Reynolds than Dom.
Sure.
Already had a question here. Kooky Kyle is asking.
Yeah, it's my old roommate.
He's asking when your book's going to be released.
Whenever the cover is done. So my buddy is drawing the cover. Everything else is pretty much done, set in stone. Titles all good. End sheets are all good. So literally just waiting on the cover that my friend's drawing, and then I'm going to get a proof made. And then after that, it's, I'm probably going to make like 250 copies. And my plan is to try and take some with me to PolaCon. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how that'll work. I've never been to San Francisco, so I'm stoked for that.
You've never been to San Francisco?
Never been to the West Coast.
Shit,
all you West Coast people.
Well, I mean, San Francisco is an interesting place. I've been lucky to spend some time there just because of like working in tech and whatnot. And it's got some like interesting grittiness to it. If you're thinking of going to PolaCon Bay Area though, and you don't want to spend a small fortune on hotels because hotels are really fucking expensive in San Francisco. The Green Tortoise Hostel in the Stripper District, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Green Tortoise Hostel?
Green Tortoise in San Francisco. You rent a private room. That's the trick. Don't do the dorm room, but you get a private room, you get your own bed and everything. You gotta share a shitter with other people, but that's no biggie. Yeah. But it's like a tenth of the cost of getting a fucking hotel room. Like I looked at when PolaCon Bay Area was like a glint in my eye of maybe being able to get down there. I think it was like $480 or something for like 4 days.
Damn, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my brother wanted to come with me too, and so we've been like looking at hotels
Dude,
and
you could
like
get bunk
Airbnbs
beds.
in there.
You could get bunk beds in that shit too. Like if you and your brother are cool with bunk beds. So, 2020 last year, no, not last year, 2020. Brian and Mary, Brian, Theory of a Brian on Polaroid. The three of us shared a bunk bed hostel room, and it was perfect. It was
Dude, hell yeah, that sounds awesome.
yeah, it kept that shit cheap too because we just like split the cost down the middle. So like we only paid like $240 a piece or something like that. It was nice.
So cheap. Yeah, I know. Have you talked to Jay? His Instagram is like the Polaroid Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been asking him, like, yo, like, where's PolaCon gonna be? Like, where are we going? Because I've never been, so I don't know like the area at all. So I'm like, yo, just tell me like a general area of like where I should be looking for.
Well,
And
even it's easy to Uber around San Francisco. So
is it?
you know, just don't rent anything in the Tenderloin. It's a little weird there. And watch out for poop. There's lots of poop everywhere. And don't rent a car because there's lots of break-ins and shit out there.
Yeah, that's what Jay told me too. Because I asked him because I was like, yo, should I just like get like an Airbnb a couple miles away from where it's gonna be at, and just get like a rental? And he was like, nah, just Uber everywhere. It's like
yeah. Just Uber everywhere. The thing that's dope, though, about the Green Tortoise is where it's located. It's in such a nice spot, and within walking distance, there's so much good food. It's what fucking part of town is that in? Now I gotta kind of try and remember it here.
It's like I'm looking at a map. It's like It's like near the water.
It's not super near the water. Oh, it's right by. There's a really fucking cool display there of like these like books flying in the air on Columbus and Broadway, and the Beat Museum is there too, which is interesting. It's got like the Ernest Hemingway car in there and shit, and Cafe Zoetrope, Francis Ford Coppola's building where he's got his soundstage and shit. That's not too far from there. And Vesuvio Cafe is pretty cool, and there's like a wicked good Mexican joint that's like right Taqueria Zorro. It's on Broadway in Columbus. Yeah, and then there's like the Stinkin' Rose. It says it's temporarily closed, but that place is kind of hilarious. Their whole shtick is they garnish their garlic with food.
Damn.
Yeah, I ate there once with my ex-wife, and I've never felt more disgusting with my body than after eating there.
I'm like reading the chat. Everyone's everyone's cracking me up.
I thought Philly was dirty, but we have trash on the streets, but no poop.
I live in Philly. Philly's not too bad as long as you like North Philly and like Fishtown, Kensington area is like really dirty, but Center City, South Philly, Rittenhouse area, West Philly, it's not too bad.
I always wanted to go to Philly and then like hang out in a Wawa parking lot.
Dude, pull up. I got you. I'll give you the tour. We'll go get cheesesteaks.
Fuck yeah. I've always wanted a cheesesteak. Like, 'cause I'm not ashamed of admitting this, but I watched a lot of like Bam when I was a kid, and you know, when he was making fun of Phil for how much food Phil liked to eat, those fucking Philly cheesesteaks that like Phil and Don Vito would like fucking go after, they look good.
Yeah, so when I first moved here, I just went around town just like trying all the cheesesteaks, and I don't know, like cheesesteaks are sort of mid after you have like so many. They're like pretty nice every once in a while, but they're not like the best, you know? Like I'd rather just get like a normal hoagie and like call it a day.
Wait, okay. So what's a hoagie to you?
It's meat and toppings on a roll.
So roll, basically? Is that like a... Because like a roll here is like a dinner roll. It's like a little like fucking bun you have with like your turkey and shit. But like a roll, is that like... So yeah, like a sub Okay.
Yeah,
Because
like a
up
sub
here,
sandwich.
up here
Yeah.
we call them subs. But I think hoagie sounds way fucking cooler than sub.
Yeah, I know in Florida they call them subs, but up here they call them hoagies.
So you're from Florida originally, and then you ended up in Philly.
Yeah.
How did that
Yeah,
happen?
so I graduated college May of 2020 and ended up like finding a job in Camden.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not going to live in Camden. So I found a place in Philly. Never been to Philly before that. So I literally just signed a lease without ever having to go like tour the place. And I was like, all right, I'm in Philly now.
Wow. Lizzie says don't sleep on Strombolis, though. Yeah, fucking Stromboli is
Strombolis?
good.
Yeah, Strombolis are a banger.
Nice. I mean,
But
I like a sub sandwich every now and then too. You can't go wrong with them. What is it? We got a
yeah.
question here. Illegal Tender Co. says, what does Dan look for in his... Oh, wait. I think I can share this. What does Dan look for in his subjects, people or not? What attracts him to photograph something? Is there something he searches for?
Not really. I just sort of take pictures of things that are cool, things that look cool. I really like pictures that have like sort of layers on them. So there's like something in like the foreground, the middle, and then like the background, and it just sort of layers on each other. That's why cities are pretty cool because like you sort of have like all these cities just sort of layering up on each other, and you can get like pretty interesting pictures. But I don't know, more so than like subjects, I look for like moods, like feelings. You know, like sometimes I feel like I'm capturing more so like a mood than like, you know, like a subject.
What's your favorite kind of mood to capture?
I don't know. I've had like a lot of people like describe my like photography as sort of melancholy. Um, and yeah, I don't really know. So I guess melancholy is what I go after. But there's no real like thing I like look to capture or like look to take pictures of. It's more so just whatever I take pictures of. Because sometimes like you can take a picture of something or you can create something and it's not necessarily like something you're planning of. It's just like something that's in the back of your mind and it just comes to life and like something you do, you know?
Melancholy is interesting because you're such a smiley individual. I've noticed that in your photos and stuff. But there is
I was having coffee with my friend, and my friend brought it up, and he was like, "You know, you're always taking pictures of like all these random things, and all of this seems like very melancholy." And I was like, "Damn, seems like such a weird thing to like take from like a photo, you know."
I think it's important though to like capture those kinds of things because like you look at so much of what's out there and there's just like this like living your best life kind of thing and like everything has to be so like uplifting and positive and shit all the time. But the problem with that is if everything's good all the time, then you kind of start to get like numb to it. And then it's like what is good anymore? Like it's important to have like, a balance in between
the highs and the lows.
Exactly, because those lows make you appreciate those highs so much more, make you realize those highs more. And I think melancholy is like an interesting touch too, because we're bombarded with so much positive shit all the time, like in everything that we see all over the place. Like melancholy stuff hits with us because like a lot of us sort of sit with these feelings that we don't really necessarily share all the time. So it's cool when people can connect to like art that makes them like feel related to. And
and more so than that, I feel like limiting yourself to sort of one subject area or like one type of photography is like sort of boring after a while, like a lot of people do it, like I know like a lot of large format photographers like stick like portraits or stick to large format, but sometimes it's cool to just sort of branch out and like try like everything from like instant format to digital and everything in between.
Yeah, and there was a question here. Name 4 cameras.
Polar SLR 680, SX70, Crime Graphic, Canon A1 program.
Nice. I mean, the 680 and the SX70 are basically the same camera almost, but we'll let you get away with that.
Yeah, I bought custom from Zane.
Nice. I love the moo cow print on that.
Yeah, that's the moo cow prints from Essex Ivy on Instagram. He's also in the Bay Area, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's a cool guy. I like bought this, and this dude Zane is so cool, man. He's like such a legend. He literally, I was in Dallas visiting my brother, and he literally drove from Denton to Dallas at like 7 a.m. to like deliver this Polaroid to me. Like straight legend.
Zane's a shit. I got a big box of SLR 680s and SX70s that are just about to head down to Zane for some love.
Dude, hell yeah, he's so goated.
He is. And anytime anyone asks me, like, you know, I got these like pop-up cameras that need work, I always recommend Zane. And it was like I recommended Zane to Grainy Days. And
yeah,
I've been loving that Jason's been giving Zane props too. I just watched one of his recent videos and he like, you know, gave Zane some love, and that was really fucking cool to see.
Yeah, I remember when that video came out, everybody in Ben's Discord was like talking about it. It was like, yo, he gave Zane a shout out. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Zane's great. Like, I found out about him from Armand at the Den Camera Exchange. Because I was needing to get some work done on some cameras, and Armand's like, I've been using this dude, you should hit him up. And
yeah,
no regrets.
Well, what about you, Merlin? What do you like to shoot? What moods do you like to capture? I've been noticing like lately your stuff's been like a little bit more on like the melancholy, like sort of more on like the darker side.
Yeah, that was a project that like one of my creative partners and I put together. So I work with my friend on a group we call the Northern Film Collective, and yeah, which is a really cool project. It's something that my friend Becca Shoots Film started a few years ago, and you know, she puts together like she curates Canadian film photographers, because one of the things that she noticed out there was that a lot of these like film feature pages are very like American focused kind of thing, and so she wanted something that was specifically for Canadians. And then an offshoot of that idea was to do like a yearly volume of work of Canadian film photographers. So she put together volume 1 last year, and we had like almost 70 Canadian film photographers in there. And we did a limited run of it. We just did 150 books, and we probably could have done 250, and it would have sold out. There's still people asking for copies now, but she's working on volume 2 right now, and we do a lot of like you know, film projects. But I was visiting Toronto before the end of the year there, and we did this shoot, and it was kind of a heavy topic because we're both kind of like dark kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, we did this interesting like sort of like tub shoot, but fucking Instagram took a couple of them down because they were harmful, and it fucked my grid up. I'm so pissed about that shit.
I remember you posted about it. The three photo grid is like all fucked now.
Yeah, like it's fine from like, I don't know, a few posts ago, but like everything backwards is fucked, and I was just like, whatever, I don't care about Instagram anymore. Assholes. Like, it just,
for real.
And this is something other people have like gotten frustrated with Instagram for sure, is like the censorship of you know, creation and things like that. And I did have a lot of people like reach out after I posted those, being like, are you okay? Like, you know, are you gonna like, you know, hurt yourself or whatever? And I was like, you know, if and when I do actually kill myself, I'm not gonna like put a bunch of sad boy posts on about it. Like it's just I'm not gonna be there one day. Like
I feel that. It seems sort of like counterintuitive to just post like a picture of you in a bathtub with like a toaster and then being like, all right guys, like I'm out, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, like, given today's electrical standards and shit like that, like, a toaster in the bathtub will not kill you. It will probably hurt you a bit, and you'll have to go to the hospital, and then you'll have to explain to them that, like, you know, you tried to fucking take yourself out like a 1920s character that just got electricity in their home. Back then, it would have fucking killed you, because there was really not a lot of protections for that shit. It was like GFCI outlets and all that other shit right now. You know, toaster in the tub is just probably going to piss off your roommates if you live with people, or your wife if you like live with someone, like, you know, whatever. If you do have a serious like feelings though of like harming yourself and shit, talk to somebody. I know like everyone says that kind of thing, like talk to somebody, but like there's numbers you can phone people to talk. You know, therapy is a great thing if you have the means and access to it.
Therapy
important.
rules. Creative
like,
outlets, friends.
Yeah, creative outlets, friends. Like I know it's a topic that is scary to some people to hear, and it's scary for people to share too. Like, you know, I've been more open about my struggles with mental health since about 2014 ish. I started like, you know, being more open with it, because the biggest problem I had with it was I was forgetting the lies that I was telling people, because you tell all the lies to say that you're okay, and you forget who you told what lie, and then they start blending together, and people are like, yeah, wait a minute, you said this other thing, and you're like, ah, fuck.
You get like too caught up in everything.
Exactly, and it became like a second job trying to fucking just keep up with all that shit. It was just way easier to be like, hey, I have depression and suicidal ideation. I'm probably not going to do anything, but it's something I think about on the regular. I think like not I think I know that that influences what I capture, and I don't consider myself a photographer.
Same.
Someone coined it. Actually, it was. I went on a date with this person that I met on Zoom during the pandemic times, and we met in person. And she had a very interesting drunk sister, who was really strange. But the woman who I was on the date with, she went in the house for a minute, and her drunk sister's out there, and she's like, I fucking see you. I see you with your little fucking camera, and you're a fucking archivist, aren't you? And I was like, holy shit.
Archivist?
I haven't really known what to call myself, but like, that actually makes a lot of sense, because it works. Like, I have this fear that one day I'm going to lose the war with myself. And until then, I've been using photography as a way to like archive the things that are important to me, the places that I find interesting, the people that are important to me that I love, so that there's some kind of record left behind. And she kind of nailed it.
And that sort of leads me to like a project that I've been wanting to do recently. So my mom, she passed away like in 2013, and she left behind like all these photos that she took, and like people would take of her over the years. And so one of the projects I wanted to do and make a couple of books of it was sort of like digitizing all that work, like all those photos, especially like of some back in like her home country, Syria. And
cool.
And just sort of digitizing all that work and like sort of trying to put it in chronological order and being like, yo, like, you know, this is someone's life, you know. She has like, so she probably has like 10,000, 20,000 photos, like just so many photos of like her life, and then like when she had me and my brother, and then just growing up until like 2013. So I definitely get that feeling of like wanting to archive your life like while you're here.
Oh wow, that sounds like a really fucking interesting project.
Yeah, it's I have like all these like big projects I want to do after this book. This book was more so just like a toe in the water, like just trying to like figure things out and see where it goes. And it was also like this way to just sort of like put some respect back on like Polaroid's name, because like people, you got the Urban Outfitters crowd now just sort of like taking Polaroid as like a joke.
Well, and not only
like,
that, but like all of the people out there that call Fuji Polaroid, I try not to be a fucking cunt about it, but I can't help it that I fucking cringe every time someone posts an Instax and they're like, check out this Polaroid. I'm like,
yeah, me too. And it's crazy because like Polaroid is like suing Fuji because of that. Like they're trying to like copyright like the square,
well,
like
so
instant image.
they did sue Fuji over it, but I don't know.
I think it's still ongoing, right?
Well, I don't know if they've rekindled it or not, but they kind of lost because it's smaller. So
Yeah.
like courts were just like, it's not the same thing, and that's why it can't be the same size as a Polaroid. And
Yeah.
they can't really make the argument with Spectra anymore because Spectra doesn't fucking exist. So they could have probably had a leg to stand on with like suing against Spectra with Instax wide. And then the fucking Go, like I bought one, like, and I was really jazzed for it, and I still think it's the fucking cutest camera I've bought so far. But
dude, it's a dope camera. It's a dope camera.
It's too tiny.
It is too tiny.
It's a dope camera, but like, if I was like I might give it to one of my nieces or nephews. They probably love the shit out of it.
It's really like it's really the camera that should belong to like the Urban Outfitters crowd. It's like literally marketed like towards that. But the whole point of this book though that I wanted to try and do was that like I wanted to show that like you could make a Polaroid book, because this book is all emulsion lifts, like emulsion transfer lifts.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show that you could do more in like a Polaroid photo book than just like have Polaroid photos. I actually have some of the pages in the book with me right now. Some of them I've like framed because I think they're like pretty cool, like this one.
That's dope.
Some sneak previews. Yeah.
Yeah, Theory of O'Brien does some really beautiful emulsion lifts too, and he does like really cool shit where he chops stuff up. Oh man, so that's like 2 photos you've stitched together.
Yeah.
I am a queen waster of silver.
Let's see. I have this one of like New York's skyline. A lot of these are like sort of fucked up because when I put them, because I scanned in a scanner, and so after I scanned in the scanner, it gets like stuck on the scanner, so I have to like peel it off the scanner and like put it back. So a lot of them ends up getting destroyed or like fucked up, but the pages are gonna look awesome.
But I mean,
I believe in them.
That's also kind of the beauty of Polaroid. Like,
yeah,
you can't expect perfection when you're shooting Polaroid. And I think that's like a lot of people that get frustrated with Polaroids. They're expecting it to be like this amazing, perfect thing. And
yeah,
it's not. It's this janky, imperfect, zombie creation of something that used to exist. Because like the Polaroid we have today, it's not real Polaroid. It's their best approximation of what they could make with what they had.
Honestly, though, I feel like at least from like the colors and the tones, like the Polaroid like nowadays is probably just on par with like the Polaroid way back then.
That's a tough one because like
some of the colors nowadays is like fantastic.
Yeah, but the longevity is like the thing too. Like at Policon 3, I saw some Polaroids that were from like the 70s that looked like they were just taken today.
Yeah, I one of my buddies has a Polaroid from like 2005 that he just like found on the ground. He just kept it with him, but it's like pretty cool how it like looks like still like a normal Polaroid.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, and depending on like how your rollers are and how you kept the film and all of that, like, you know, you could get like weird aberrations in the film or the color is janky, and you know, that's kind of what I find the beauty in Polaroid though, is you're creating art and it's like kind of art itself because you never really know what you're going to get out of it. Like if you want predictability, shoot Instax.
Yeah, or shoot digital for that matter.
Yeah, that too. Like I have no hate for digital. I mean, I just did my first commercial shoot. It was all on digital.
Hell yeah!
I love this. Like I rock a Fuji X Pro 2 digital rangefinder. I fucking love this camera. You know, I got no hate on digital, but
I remember you and Zane were talking about that, about the X Pro 2, and then I remember I forgot who brought it up, but I know the XT3 was like also one of the digital cameras I was like looking at getting.
Well, and so the X Pro 2 is like my daily driver when I go out, and then I've also got an XT2, which I bought before because I wanted an X Pro 2, and when I looked, they were so fucking expensive still. And then Big Head Taco was like, the XT2 is the same camera. Just go look for one of those. It just doesn't have the digital rangefinder, but it's the same sensor. It's the same processor. Like, they take the same photos. And I thought, like, when I found this X Pro 2 in Toronto, I was going to sell this guy. But I'm glad I didn't, because when I was doing that commercial job, it would have been really fucking annoying to do it with a rangefinder and looking through the viewfinder thing. Like I'm one of those like fucking people that's so old I still like using like the iPhone, even though I know it's a little screen inside. You know, I like it that way. But then also because I want to start doing digital scanning, the X Pro 2 doesn't have a flip out screen. So like this will be a lot easier to have the flip out screen when I have it in the copy stand. So
true.
I'm gonna be a 2 Fuji guy.
Hell yeah! I've been meaning to. I was looking into digital scanning because I need because I want to start doing like 4x5s, and I heard digital scanning is like pretty good for 4x5s, and I eventually want to move on to like 8x10s, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna need like a digital scanner for that, or I think one of the newer Epsons. I don't remember.
Or just like fucking print right on paper.
True. Yeah, I know a lot of friends, like a lot of my buddies are doing that, and it's like such a crazy process that I like want to get into that I have no idea like where to even begin. It's just like getting a piece of paper and just like shining a light on it, right? Onto the paper, yeah. And then
well, so like if you want to get a positive from a negative, you can shoot a sheet of just regular photo paper in the camera, and then you can do a contact print of that onto another piece, and then you should get an image, I think. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. A friend told me. But you got another question here. When is the book release planned from Yosemite Yams?
I don't know yet. I'm aiming. So I need to hound this guy for the cover, and then eventually it's probably going to be like late February, early March. Yeah, that's my goal. My goal is to have it before PoloCon. I really want to bring it to PoloCon and just like give it out. So hopefully before then. But yeah, I've been working on this book for like a year and a half. I'm like ready to just get it done and like work on other stuff, you know?
Nice. And then we have one more here. Illegal Tender Co. says, on that note of new crowds into photography, does it bother you? Do you guys see it affecting the future of the hobby in the long run, positively or negatively?
Like new crowds, like new people just picking up a camera and shooting?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that was like when we were talking about like the Urban Outfitters shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really bother me. Because I know there's, like in any hobby, you know, there's always going to be like people who just use it for like fun. And even when I was like first starting out, that was like more so my case. Like it was like very less serious and like something I can just like take to parties and take pictures with. But you know, as I've gotten more into it, it's like something that I've like not wanted to do commercially, but like something that I was like taking a little bit more seriously. Just so like, you know, like making books and like getting into like different types of photography and formats and stuff. So it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either. I think like the more people using film, the more people doing photography is great, because that's just going to promote companies to want to develop things and to, you know, especially with film, like, you know, film shortages and all that suck, but it's good that there's demand, because it means outside of Fuji, film companies probably won't stop making film. You know,
Yeah,
we all know Fuji
it's
loves
crazy.
not.
When you had Tim on, he was saying how Kodak's like demand for like film has like increased from where it was like a couple of years ago, or like 8 years ago or something. So it's good that like people are like more into film nowadays, you know, like actually wanting to like pick up all these roles and just like go shooting with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a good thing, because it means like we'll still have film. I mean, we'll have to pay more money for it than we're used to, but I mean, we should all be used to that right now. When you look at like the trend in cameras and shit, like, you know,
it's so bad.
It's terrible. Like it's the fucking worst. Like, you know, shit I bought for like a couple $100 a few years ago is like nearing like thousands of dollars now, and it's just like, fuck.
Yeah, I was so I'm thinking of like snagging a Leica, like an M6 or something, and my buddy told me that he got one for like $900 like 8 years ago, and now if you look, they're like $3,000, $2,000 a pop. It's like so expensive.
They are, but along with like have the crow that I had to fucking eat when I started shooting Fuji, I have some Leica crow to eat too. So I in previous seasons and episodes of the chat have definitely made fun of Leica bros. And I mean, I'm not going to go back on those comments, because like there's definitely like a certain subset of people out there that have the means to afford those cameras that don't really do anything with them. But for the people out there that do buy these cameras and then use them as the tool they're meant for, they're actually a fucking fantastic tool. And
they're great cameras. They feel so good to like shoot with. They're so like weighty, and like everything just like works, and it's like so mechanical. It's just like, fuck, dude, it feels so good.
See, that's the thing. I didn't understand it until a friend of mine loaned me his M3, because he's just like, I hate shooting film. And I'm like, why do you have it? He's like, it was a gift from a friend. And I'm like, do you want to sell it? He's like, it was a gift from a friend. I can't sell it. But he's like, why don't you take it and run some film through it? Because, like, you know, as long as they're being used, they're good. Like, the worst thing you could do to a Leica is just leave it somewhere and have it fucking do nothing, because then it'll just, like, start disintegrating. So I've had his M3 for a few months now, and I love and hate the fact that he loaned it to me, because I understand it now. Like, I understand why these, like, great photographers were drawn to use it. It's just so simple. Like it feels like an extension of you when you're using it. And I hate the fact that I love it so much, because now I need to buy one.
Yeah, it's how I feel about like the SX70 cameras, you know. It's just like all of this just feels so good to use, and it like, to me it doesn't make sense like using like a Fuji Instax camera, or using like any of the box cameras, because the SX70 was just like, it's just like such a weighty, like good camera to like hold and shoot with. It's like, I don't know like how Polaroid could like ever top those cameras, you know. It's like
they can make
crazy.
a new version that has like similar features to like the One Step Plus and things like that. Like it would be so
With the
fucking
Bluetooth?
rad. Yeah, like it would be fucking
Dude.
rad if you could have like a SLR 680 or an SX70 that you could like remote control to do all the settings, like open SX70 but like on steroids. Like that would be cool. They'll never do it.
There's not enough money. There's not enough money to it.
Yeah, like they won't do it because like we would love that. And like all of the fucking Polaroid fanatics out there would be like, yeah, we want that. But there's not enough of us for them to justify all of the work that it would take to make it. But I do have to give some love to the box cams though, because that the book that I did recently, well, the book that I put out recently that I did in 2020, that was predominantly shot on a One Step Plus. And,
that was my first Polaroid camera.
Yeah, they're a great camera.
Yeah, like, that was what got me into Polaroid initially, because I bought it as like, yo, I'm just gonna like bring this to parties and like take pictures, and then like I started taking.
Oh, we lost you there.
There?
Yeah, you're back now.
All right, cool. Yeah, originally I bought one just to like take photos at parties, and then like whenever I started shooting more, I was like, yo, this rocks. Like I want to keep shooting photos, and then like here I am, 2 years later, year and a half later, about to come out with a book. So it's like, full circle, sort of.
That's a good feeling though.
Yeah, it is a good feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of like. I don't know how to describe it when people buy your shit and actually like it.
Dude, I've been dealing with that so much. Like, I want to say about like 4 months ago, I had like all my friends just like randomly, like none of them knew each other. This wasn't like coordinated, but like I just had people coming up to me, was like, yo, like I really fuck with like your photography. I really fuck with like, all the photos that you put out and everything. And it was like, yo, that's crazy. That like people like this, it's like so insane that like you put stuff out and like there's at least one person who like actually likes it,
That's all it takes, is just one.
Yeah.
I thought for the longest time to like do anything or like, make an impression in the social medias, you had to have like a huge following, and like I got possessed with this idea that I needed to get to like 10K at least before anyone would take me seriously in any fucking kind of way. And, I don't believe that shit now. Like, it's, I've seen some people with amazing work that have like 50 followers, and I've seen some total trash with people that have like, tens of thousands of followers.
Same.
It doesn't matter. Like and then it also like, I kind of noticed too, as like my follower count went up, a lot of it was like bot shit and things like that. So it gave me this inflated idea of it really being better than it was or whatever. But what always like hit the most and what made it important for me was like those couple of people that would reach out and say like, hey, this photo like really hit me, or something like that. Or somebody be like, hey, that one photo you posted, this, like, would you sell a print of that? Because like, I felt something about it. That made all the difference.
I've had a lot of my friends ask me about prints, and they even like just asking me about like putting together like zines or like books of like my work. And I've sort of been like trying to stray away from like doing commercial work, just because I'd rather like keep it as a hobby. Like luckily I have a good day job that like pays for everything, and like I'm good. Like I don't have to like use photography as like a job.
I'm in the same boat with that, where it's just like, I've got a good day job that gives me a very privileged place where it's like I can do this stuff and I don't have to like worry about making money with it so I can survive.
Yeah, shout out to tech and engineering jobs.
So what's your day job?
It's so my old job that I've been working for like a year and a half is why I moved up to Philly. That was a software engineering job.
Okay.
And now I'm working as like a field application engineer for a startup company, which is pretty cool. So I just started like last week, so I don't really know like what I'm doing yet, but it's a pretty cool gig, you know. So
That's
we'll
okay.
see.
I've been in Dell
Yeah,
for like almost 4 years. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time.
hell yeah.
Yeah, most of my job is just PowerPoint and bullshit.
I feel that most currently what I've been working on for like the past week and a half is just like documentation, because like it's the company's based in Belgium, but like it's a U.S. division now,
Oh,
like is
okay.
what we're trying to start, and there's like no documentation for like the U.S. team, so it's like, you know, somebody has to like do this, you know, like somebody has to write shit up for like the next guy.
That startup life is interesting, man. I worked for a startup for a little bit that was based in the States, and that was wild because it's just like, it was like all hands on deck. Like, you know,
Yeah,
we didn't have a lot of staff, so it's like everyone had to wear a few different hats, and it's been a very different experience being a Dell because it's a very much like, this is your lane, don't fucking
yep,
get out of it.
yeah, and it's crazy like going because I used to work at like a big corporation. It was like a defense contractor, and it was basically just like, yo, you're part of like a 10-person team, and like everything's on schedule. Like there's millions of dollars going into this project. Like just do a couple small things, and like you'll be good. So, and now it's like, you know, just like you said, you got to wear like a bunch of different hats.
Exactly. Heck yeah, Sarah asks you, who is your favorite photographer?
Ah, I don't know. I have a few. My buddy who like originally got me into photography, his that is like Sir underscore Oki. His last name is Soroki. He's probably up there. He does like a lot of rocket launches and stuff. Um, I would say you're definitely top 10. Um,
Oh
my
man,
buddy,
you're just
my
now you're
buddy.
just flattering.
Nah, man, I fuck with your work, man. Listen, all my like the people I follow on Instagram and like all my friends, like my internet friends, like first and foremost, I'm like a fan. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people get too caught up in like the competition, you know, trying to be competitive, and it's like, why can't we just be fans of people? You know, like
Well, and
instead
that's
of
exactly it. Like, it shouldn't be a competition. You know, you should be following people that you find inspired by, or that you want to like collaborate with, or that you just dig their work. And if you have something you can share, share it. And you know,
yeah,
don't be like scared that like if you share something, it means you're gonna like preclude yourself from something. Like if anything, if you don't share, you are precluding yourself from, you know, having better richness and like relationships, and like, you know,
yeah,
maybe if you share something with someone, they'll share something back with you that'll like help you step up your shit. Like, you know, sharing's caring, man. Knowledge is
yeah, for
power.
sure. Dave is also up there from last week.
I love Dave.
Dude,
Dave's
his
one of
shit
the
is
most
so cool.
beautiful people I know, and you know, it was kind of funny. He was a wild man. Like, dude flew. Dave flew to Policon and didn't even have a place to stay. He was just like, I'm going to Texas and I'm going to take pictures of people, and like that was that. He was just determined. Like that was his plan, and he offered to take my photo, which I was like, holy shit, I didn't even think that I was like a good enough photographer to be in his book of these like, you know, amazing
Yeah.
photographers. And then like after he took my shot, we were talking, and I'm like, so where are you staying? And he's like, I don't know. I was just like, well, shit, man, that's not good. So I was staying with Armand, and I was like, hey, Armand, is it cool if Dave stays with us too? So we had like a big old sleepover at Armand's house. You know, I had like one
Oh
living
yeah.
room, Dave had the other living room. You know, we'd like do late night tacos and shit. And
Oh yeah.
you know, fucking Denton's the shit. You need to go to Denton too, man.
Yeah, I was in Dallas recently, and it reminded me like so much of Florida. That it was like, like why? Like I probably want to. I probably don't want to like hang out in Texas just because it just seems like another Florida to me.
Denton's a bit different though, man.
Is
Like
it?
Denton's a different vibe from Dallas. Like, because it's more like a liberal arts town, and
True.
it's a cool spot. Like the first time I went to Texas, I was fucking terrified because I'm not white, and I think when I thought about Texas before, I was just like, thinking Confederate flags and fucking racists and steaks and cows.
Yeah, my brother lives in Texas, and I think like if you live in like Dallas or like Houston, it's like a little bit different. They're more like liberal and like blue leaning and like less racisty.
Yeah, like Dallas, Houston, Austin are sort of like these little pockets of blue in a sea of red. Denton's just a little bit more bluer. Like, it's a cool spot. Like, if you get a chance to go to Polacon 6, definitely do it, and go to Mi Casita. It's the Tex-Mex place behind the Denton Counter Exchange. Is one of my fucking favorite places to eat in the world.
Mi Casita?
Mi Casita.
Let's go.
It's such a good spot. Yeah, now I just want fucking Tex-Mex. I could go for like a nice platter with a like crisp Topo Chico right now. That'd be so good.
Dude, I used to work at a Tex-Mex spot when I was in college, and it was so sick being able to just like take food home from work and just like a nice bowl of like, like just Tex-Mex shit, or like make yourself a nice burrito or quesadilla. The shit rocks.
I wish I could have had a chance to work in a place like that. I worked in a pizza joint when I was younger. I was a delivery driver at Punk Rock Panago, and we would do some weird fucking shit after hours. Like, we would try these like weird pizza concoctions. The fucking worst one though, candy pizza.
Candy?
Yeah, like we put like
my God.
gummies and shit in there, and
yeah, that's some fucked up shit, man.
Well, here's the problem with it. When all of the fucking candies got warm, they melted, and they just turned into like this fucking ooze, and the dough didn't cook through because it was all fucking wet from this ooze shit. So it's like you had this like beautiful looking crispy pizza on the outside, and we're like, fuck, that actually doesn't look half bad. And then you go to grab a piece and it's all like wet and doughy underneath. Like, it was disgusting. So don't put candy on pizza.
Yeah, you know what spot really has good pizza though?
What's that?
Detroit. Detroit has amazing pizza. Detroit pizza is the best type of pizza. Hands down.
I've never had pizza in Detroit.
It's so good. It beats New York pizza by a landslide.
I always wanted to spend more time in Detroit.
Detroit's cool. Detroit's super sick. The city is super nice. I fuck with Detroit heavy.
Yeah, I had dinner in Grosse Pointe once. Went to this cigar bar in Grosse Pointe called Churchill's. And that was one of the most fucking decadent dinners I've ever had, because it's just like you're sitting there eating this beautiful steak, and then you could like, while you order your food, and then like while you're waiting for your food, you could go into the fucking walk-in humidor and you pick out a cigar from their selection there, and then you can like you sit at your table smoking this cigar while you eat this like beautiful fucking meal. And it's
yeah, I got my Detroit sticker right there.
Nice. I like the Mr. Clean too.
Yeah, I'm making a bunch more in for my book. Like, I'm probably gonna include some stickers with like every book, so I'll be sure to give you some.
Nice. I like that. And then we got another question here from Yosemite Yams. What projects are you looking at getting into once the book is out?
So that project I mentioned earlier of like digitizing all my mom's like photos and making a book out of that. I want to do more stuff with this project called Lens and Lead. It started by this dude in the UK, but basically what it is, it's like, let me bring up a good page. So it's basically like a Polaroid portrait on the right side, and then the person you took a portrait of, they draw whatever like on the left.
Oh,
And
that's
so
cool.
you can do, there's like stuff like that. Like all these like super cool drawings. So I wanna do more stuff with this for sure. It started by some dude in the UK who I really fuck with, Tom. And he, there's like a couple teams. Like one, I'm like doing the Philly edition. He's doing the UK edition. And there's like two people, Picture Man Bob, and I forgot her Instagram, but she goes by Dells, and they're both doing New York City.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I wanna focus a little bit more on this. I also want to get into like more like large format projects. I probably want to make a book of like large format stuff and do a little bit more like photojournalism, like a little bit more serious stuff. But yeah,
What
I don't know.
kind of large format you thinking of getting into? Have you gotten one yet, or are you still thinking about it?
Yeah, I have my Crown Graphic.
Nice.
Just a little 4x5 Crown Graphic. So I'm starting off with that, and then eventually I want to move on to 8x10. But I was thinking of doing like this multimedia project where I like have this book of like different. So I wanted to do like sort of these interviews of like first generation immigrants and sort of get their stories of like growing up as like a first generation immigrant, because like for me growing up, it was like you sort of stuck with this feeling of like not really American enough to like feel like you belong in America, and not really like of your own culture enough to feel like you belong with your own culture. And so I didn't realize until I grew up, until I became like much older, that like there's like a lot of people who like have that same feeling. So a project I was thinking of doing with large format was probably like a book consisting of like interviews from like first generation immigrants, and then doing like large format pictures of like their homes or like portraits, and then including like Polaroid pictures and like medium format and like 35, and just sort of doing like I have like all these sketches of like layouts I want to do with the pages of like full page spreads of like large format, and then have like some Polaroids like sprinkled in and stuff like that. So that's probably going to be like my next like super big project I work on.
That sounds awesome, man. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I haven't really seen like a lot of people do something like that. So it'll definitely be like an interesting take on everything.
Yeah, it reminds me of an idea I had for a book after spending some time in the Midwest. I was doing this road trip along part of the old Route 66, and we had these interesting. We'd stop in these like little fucking just like nowhere town kind of places, and the conversations that I'd have with total strangers were really kind of fascinating. Where it's like these people would just share like really interesting, not like terribly intimate details of their lives, but like very personal stories of their lives. And it just kind of left me with this feeling of like there's all these fantastical stories that like all of these people have out here that are just going to go away when they die.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like that was like such a shame, because some of the stories were really fucking good. And so it just kind of gave me this idea, like it would be neat to be able to just spend some time driving on the Route 66 and stopping in these little towns and stuff, and just interviewing these people, getting like some interesting stories from them, and then taking like a 4x5 portrait of them, and just like create this book of like portraits of people with like this story that they share.
Yeah.
So that they could like a part of them could kind of live a little longer.
Yeah. See, shit like that I really fuck with. Like, telling, like, these stories through, like, photography. I feel like a lot of people don't really do that, per se. They have, like, when they make, like, books, they have, like, a theme, and they sort of stick with the theme, but it doesn't tell a story.
Yeah.
And to me, the story is, like, more important than the theme. You know, like, you can have, like, a bunch of photos that, like, you know, they all stick to the same theme, but they don't, like, contribute anything to, like, a discussion. It's just, like, really cool photos that of, like, one particular, like, subject, you know, that you've compiled.
I
So
like
I'm
compiled
more,
better, honestly.
yeah. So I think that's sort of like where I want to take things. I want to tell, like, more stories, and, like, more of, like, people's stories, and not necessarily my story. You know. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's more. Yeah, I think it's, like, more interesting. I think you're better able to, like, tell your own story through, like, the stories of others. You know, versus, like, constantly being, like, having to explain yourself and your art to people. I feel like it's much more simpler to, like, do it through, like, the stories of others.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm weird with art stuff because, like, I don't get a lot of art. Probably because
Sam.
I'm, like, I don't know, not well healed enough or something. But I kind of feel like,
I,
personally for me, if someone has to explain so much of what it's supposed to be, I'm not really interested in that. Like, I want to be able to, like,
yeah,
look at something and then, like, feel something about it, and not
yeah,
have to have someone tell me, like, this is how you should interpret this. It's like, I
yeah,
want it to, like, convey something to me just by looking at it. Like, those are the most powerful images to me.
yeah. I agree, and it just goes back to, like, what we're talking about, like, capturing moods versus, like, subjects, like, having pictures of, like, genuine feelings versus, like, a picture of a subject, because you can, like, take a picture of anything and that thing can, like, convey a mood or whatever, you know, versus, like, you know, you have all these pictures and, like, they're cool pictures, but they don't, like, they don't make you feel anything, or they don't say anything, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, like, what's the point here, you know?
Well, like that. So that commercial job I did recently, it was the person looked at my Instagram and they liked the honesty of my images. And when they explained what they wanted done, I was just like, I've never really done anything like that. Because, like, I take, like, street photos and portraits of my friends and stuff, and they're just like, yeah, I like that. Figure out how to do that, but for, like, this. And I think
Yeah,
it kind of worked out, but it was different. It was an interesting challenge.
yeah, that's why, like, I don't really want to do anything commercial. Like, I don't want to do, like, paid gigs or anything, because, like, I don't really need it, and then two, it's like, I don't know how to, like, capture my photography well, like, the feeling that it gives people, or the feeling it gives myself, when it's, like, not, like, in the moment, when it's not, like, for myself, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It ended up working out in the end, and I only really agreed to it because, like, she was a friend of a good friend of mine that asked me to help. But I got this really. You ever see Spencer Tunick's work?
Spencer Tunick, is that his Instagram?
That's his name.
Oh,
He's apparently a very famous photographer that seemed grumpy when I didn't, like, be like, oh my god, it's you, when he said his name. I was just like, oh cool, nice to meet you. I met him in Florida during Art Basel a couple of years ago. That was weird. He asked me a really weird question that kind of threw me off. And he was just like, who do you shoot for? Trying to, like, size me up kind of thing. And I was just like, the fuck is that supposed to mean? I was just like, I shoot for myself. Like, I take photos that I think are interesting. Like,
it's those high art people, man. They're like, you know, no offense to anyone who's, like, into high art and all that stuff, but, like, a lot of it's, like, you have to be so far up your own ass to like
Yeah.
even get, you know? It's like, dude, who cares? Like, just take pictures of dope shit and just like keep it moving, you know?
Exactly. Like, take pictures of dope shit. Don't be a dick. All good. Like, that's it, really. I think like the most flattering comment I ever got about my pictures was from my sweet friend Brian. Brian is he's a hilarious man that I've known for quite some time here in Vancouver, and he just messaged me out of the blue one day, and he's just like, "You see the world in such a fucked up way, and I appreciate that you share that with us."
That's so sick.
And I was like, I don't know if this is a compliment or like a fucking low-key diss, like you're throwing some shade at me.
It's always some like weird shit that people say like that, like where it's like sort of, it's like not really a diss, but it's like not really a compliment either, you know?
He's like, I meant it as a compliment, but yeah, it made me think about it because he explained it a little bit more. He's like, well, you just, the photos you take is just, it's not something that, you know, I don't think many people would like look at, because I like looking for words a lot. That's one of my favorite things to take pictures of, is like finding like weird words.
Yeah.
And like so at a bus stop yesterday when I was having burgers with a friend, I haven't edited this yet, but there was there was this like funny thing I saw in a bus stop where someone wrote this thing. It's like, I believe in you. Like it's this little post-it note that says, I believe in you. But then in the bottom corner there is a sign. So when I do post this, I'm going to post it and be like, show me a sign. And that's going to be the sign. But the thing that's funny with it, there's a larger thing to it. So our bus system here is run by a company called Translink. And the larger part of the sign there says, you fucked up, Translink, get a sign.
Dude, that rocks.
Yeah,
I love shit like that.
You fucked up, Translink, lazy, get a sign. And here's the thing that's funny with that. So it's like, we used to have these digital fucking signboards that would tell us when buses were coming here in Vancouver. And the apparent story of why they went away was they were like, oh, we just decommissioned them with no replacement, which seems a little shady. Apparently, the myth around this is they got crypto attacked on the system that runs the signs. And they looked at how much it would cost to pay the ransom versus how much it would cost to just rip all the signs out and shut that system down. And it was cheaper to just like decommission it.
That's so funny.
That's the mythology of why we don't have transit signs anymore. And they're just like, use your fucking phone and like, you know, see when shit's coming. So there's people who are obviously upset about that right now.
Shit like that's crazy. That photo is like so nutty though, where you have like all this text and it's like it just sort of like layers on each other, dude. Shit like that, like, is so sick.
That's the kind of stuff I like finding though. Like I like that stuff, but it's just nice. And when you see like different graffiti, like when people do graffiti on graffiti, and sometimes you see people like having conversations in the graffiti, that shit's kind of cool too. I just like that kind of stuff. It's just kind of fun.
Yeah, same. Or like, yeah, stuff like that where it's like, and it's crazy because you never know how long it's been since like someone wrote that, you know, or like someone left that there. Like for all you know, that could be like a 10-year-old, you know, message. Unless you go there every day, like there'd be no way for you to know. You know?
No, you wouldn't. But like going somewhere every day is a very interesting thing. So when I used to live in Toronto, when I first started getting back into photography, I spent a lot of time in Kensington Market, which is a really interesting part of Toronto, very lively. And fun fact, it was where Police Academy was shot, the original Police Academy. A lot of it was shot in Toronto. But the thing that was cool about going to Kensington Market on a daily basis is you'd see all of the art and the graffiti and like everything changing every day. And when you're seeing it that constantly and like paying attention to it, it was almost like that area was like alive, like it was its own living thing, because it was just like evolving and changing constantly with all this different stuff. And you'd see similar things from people like posting, and then some people just vanish for a bit, and like Foot to Face, who's in here, my friend Julianne, that's how we became friends, wildly enough, was she would post little stickers of her work in Kensington Market, and I thought that shit was really cool, and I posted them a few times, and then like I saw that she had her like tag on there. It says like I tagged her on some shit, and then we ended up becoming friends in the real world through finding her work you know, out there, which was kind of a wild connection. Like that kind of stuff is really cool. I kind of dig that. And people are different though, because I avoided shooting people for a long time.
Yeah, I'm actually not a fan of like portraits. I don't think they're like that cool, or I don't think they're like that interesting to shoot, to be honest. Like, I enjoy environmental portraits a lot. I think those are pretty cool, but like just like normal portraits where someone is like against a backdrop and you like take that photo, you know, I think those are like pretty boring and like a little bit overrated.
But what about like high school styles where they're like,
see that I like. Like if you're gonna do a portrait, like you might as well make it funny, you know. Like you might as well like spice it up a little.
Yeah, someone at Policon, I think it was Policon 3. I can't remember. It was either Policon 3 or 4. But someone had one of those like fucking backdrops from like 80s school photos with like the blue and green and purple kind of swatches in the background. And I got a really great photo of Brian and Mary. They were like doing that, like they're standing like alternate to each other with like and those kind of portraits are the shit. You know?
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a portrait studio, do that kind of shit.
Yeah. How's your studio coming along? I wanna come to Vancouver this year.
Dude, come to Vancouver. If you need a place to crash, like my apartment is tiny as fuck. But I have a really comfortable air mattress that fits in the kitchen here.
Dude, hell yeah.
And you're more than welcome to it.
I have a bunch of friends in Vancouver. I've been meaning to like go for a couple years. So probably this year, depending on like how Canada is with like traveling, I might pull up.
It's fucking easy for you guys to come over. I think it's harder for us to go down there. Studio though, it's slow.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, like doing IT work for the last 20 years has made me super soft.
I feel that.
And you know, my mind thinks my capabilities are very much different from what my body is letting me know what my hard limits are right now. So I've had to slow down a bit of progress, but the walls and ceilings are all painted.
Oh yeah.
Now I just got to prep the floor to there's like a bunch of like gaps and gouges and shit that I've got to like wood fill and then like sand down, and some staples that I got to get out and stuff. And then one of my neighbors just sent me a thing being like, yo, I just painted my floor and all the fucking stains came through, so you should prime your floor before you paint it, because she bought the same paint as me and there are some disgusting stains in the wood that just came right through. She's like, I done 2 coats, it's still coming through. So I was just like, fuck, okay, well now I gotta go buy more paint, but should hopefully have it, the main space, done at least you know, maybe next week or the week after.
Oh yeah.
And then the bathroom, probably have that done by the end of Feb, because I'm not going to go like super hard on that one. But my friend Evan, he helped build a cool shelf in like the corner part where my desk is going to be, so I have like somewhere to put like my light stands and lighting and like other shit that I don't want to like just have out. And he's going to help me build the bathroom up to have like the dark room shit all in there. And we got some cool ideas we're going to do for that. And, you know, if you're not super handy all the time, it's really great to have handy friends that you can just pay to help you to do stuff with. Because like, I was like, oh, building a shelf, that'll be like super fucking easy. And then I thought about it and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do that, I have to buy these tools. And then I have to do this, and then I have to fuck around with it, and then I'm probably going to get pissed off with it and fuck it up, and then I'm going to just pay someone to do it for me. So I just ended up like talking to a friend being like, how much would this be? And he's just like, this much. And I'm like, perfect. just do that.
Dude. Yeah, one of my best friends, he's like super handy. I helped him build like his drift car.
Nice.
In Florida, and he's like super handy with like everything. So shout out to Kooky Kyle.
What kind of drift car did you build?
It's I didn't build it. Well, he built it. I was like the muscle man whenever he needed like an extra hand. But it was it's an S14 Kooky.
Oh, crazy!
Hence the name. Yeah, Kooky Kyle, which he's now trying to sell. RIP.
Oh,
F and chat for the Kooky.
That's too bad, but I mean, yeah, everything has its time.
Yeah, for sure.
I also gotta say, dude, you give me a mad Action Bronson vibe too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He has a nice beard.
He does have a nice beard, you know? If it was just a little blonder, it would be like totally Action Bronson, but you know.
Yeah, somebody said in the chat, they were like, we could be brothers because of our beards.
Yeah, mine's getting a little out of control. I gotta like trim it up, and then like as I've been getting older, I've been getting more of this lightning bolt shit going on here.
Dude, I fuck with the salt and pepper though. That shit's fire.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, totally. Like, I would fucking love if you came to visit Vancouver. Like, there's all sorts of great shit to see here. Great food. Definitely come late spring, early summer.
Yeah, that's what my Vancouver friends told me too. They said the winters are like super brutal.
Well,
not like brutal, but they're like
depressing.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it rains so much here, and I forgot how much it fucking rains here when I moved back. And when the rain hit, I was just like, fuck this place. It's like, I had like an Arrested Development moment where I've made a huge mistake.
That's why I'm not a huge fan of winter, because it's like, it's just overcast all the time, and it's like super gloomy and cold, and it's like, can we like skip to spring? You know, can we like skip to like an actual season now instead of this dead man's wonderland?
Well, and my problem with like the winters in Vancouver is that they're just rainy. So it's just, you have these like dark, gray, wet, dreary days, and all you want to do is just like lay in bed and just wish that it didn't suck so bad outside. Like the Toronto winters were way more brutal from like, they were a real winter perspective, but you know, I didn't find them as depressing. I just fucking hated the cold and shoveling. Yeah.
That must be annoying too, like having to shovel like your driveways, and having your cars like fucking break down.
Dude, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. Like Toronto just had like a massive dump recently that fucked them up pretty good. But like BC in like the interior northern parts, we get some like fucking mad snow. Like I used to live in Prince George, which is like central northern British Columbia, and my ex-wife and I were driving home from Christmas, and it was like a brutal drive because the roads were super fucked and icy and snowy, and we got to the house at like, it must have been like 1 a.m. kind of thing, and we had to like fucking turbo our way down our street because it hadn't been fucking plowed yet. So I'm just like, we had this old it was like a 91 Volvo 240 wagon that was totally fucking clapped out. And so it's just like, like trying to get to our fucking driveway. And we get to our fucking driveway and we'd been gone for like a week and a half. So there's like this much fucking snow in the driveway. Like it was all fucking piled up. But on top of that was just what was in the driveway. But what was covering the driveway from the snowplows coming was like twice that. So it had to couldn't even just be like, fuck it, I'll do it in the morning and just like plow through it. Like there was no way to just drive the car through the shit. So it's like we had to spend 45 minutes shoveling the shit out before we could even get home. And I was like, fuck this place. I never want to live anywhere where there's snow.
Dude, shout out Florida, man. Like the summers are brutal and it's hot all the time, but at least it isn't snowing all the fucking... Dude, fuck snow. I'm tired of snow.
Do you get a lot of snow in Philly?
A decent amount. It's like, yeah, like a decent amount, but it's like so annoying, bro, because like, I don't know, it makes the whole day ends up being overcast, so I can't go out and shoot because I hate shooting in overcast weather. And then like, it's like, especially after the snow has been there for like a day, it gets like all gray and like dirty, and it's like, dude, fuck this shit.
It gets all slushy and gross. And
Yeah.
And I'm like a fucking 40-year-old going on 15, and I still wear skate shoes all the fucking time. So it's just like I hate when it's slushy because then it's like it gets all fucking wet in my feet, and I hate that shit because like I don't want to be a grown-up and like wear normal shoes.
You know, that's also what I wanted to ask you about too. How do you feel? You know, it's pretty interesting to see like, because I'm 26 and I turned 27 this year, and you're like 40.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you feel about, like, you know, like, the age distance, the age gap between, like, a lot of, like, the shooters your age, like, the photographers your age, and then, like, the photographers, like, my age? Like, it's pretty cool to see, like, you know, it's still alive, even, like, with a 14-year-old difference, you know?
Well, so most people don't guess that I'm that old. So... a lot of people think that I'm much younger than I appear to be, which bless their hearts. As long as I could get away with it, cool. I don't really think about age though when I look at people, like when I look at creatives. Because I know some people who are in their like early 20s, and I know people who are like in their like, you know, 80s and shit. And creativity is just creativity. Now, what's different though is life experience and how that affects your creativity. And there's definitely like trials and tribulations that younger creatives need to go through that will change how they see or interact with their craft, that you just have to live through. Like there's no way that anyone can impart that onto someone. Like, it's just, there's all sorts of shit that like, wiser people have told me when I was younger that made zero sense until I was in that situation where, that thing they warned me about, it's happening now. And I'm just like, fuck, okay.
Yeah. It's crazy how many times that's like happened, to like people where it's just like someone older like told them about something and they just like blew it off like it was bullshit. But it's pretty cool though with like photography and like creativity, especially like seeing like the photography community for like a lot of the shit that it gets of like being this like competitive community, whatever. A lot of like the older crowd, and especially with film photography, a lot of the older crowd is like very eager to sort of welcome like the new generation and like the younger people, and it's pretty cool seeing that like all these like, the OGs like giving up, giving the tricks of the trade, to like the younger crowd.
Well, yeah, but that's how you keep the community alive. Like, that's why it's so important to share knowledge and share experiences, because, that's how we continue to grow this community and make it strong and interesting, like keep it interesting. It's so important to share that. And it is cool, like there's a lot of OGs out there that are totally willing, and I've kind of found gatekeeping more with younger people than I've seen it with like OGs, where it's just like there's some younger creatives out there who got like a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of talent, and a little overeager about it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, shout out like my buddy who got me into photography, Soroki. He was like cool enough to like, explain to me like how everything works and like really get me into it. And while I'm like helping him do all these like rocket shoots and just helping him like being like his plus one while he goes out to these shoots. And it's like cool to just see like people sort of imparting this wisdom that like even though they could just Google it, it's like better to just have someone like help you through it and like help you understand and like give you like tricks and tips. Like shout out to Dave, man. Like how Dave, you and Dave were talking about it last week of like just being eager to just like help people. Like if they have a question about like how things work or like what lenses they use or like what gear they use. Just helping people out. Being like lighthouses in the community.
absolutely, Dave is such a beacon, and I think JP deserves some props too.
Yeah, JP too. JP's up there, top 10 for me. Top 10 for me, and as a photographer.
And I also I gotta have some mad love for Brian Brooks. I fucking love that guy. He's a shit.
What's his is that his Instagram?
Yeah, it's I think it's Brian_Brooks. Let me double check here. He's if you go to Brian_Brooks. If you go to Polacon in the Bay Area, you'll meet him. He's the dude that made Polacon Bay Area happen.
Oh damn! Damn! This photography is sick as hell.
Yeah, Brian's a shit, and he was the one. He ground down Andy and Daniel until they agreed to do Polacon in San Francisco, because they're like, nah, it's just a Texas thing, and he's like, no, either like you do this with me or I'm just gonna steal your idea.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, Brian's fucking gangster. I love that guy, and his photography is beautiful, and he's always willing to like share and any advice and stuff. And there's so many fucking great people in the community out there that I feel we're pretty lucky. This is a good time to be fucking around,
especially Polaroid photography too. Like there's like such an insane community of people who are just like into modding and into like doing crazy shit with like instant format in general. Like Mamiya is a really good example of just like turning like an RZ67 or an RB67 into a Polaroid camera, or like things with like the Goose. Just so much crazy like 3D printed shit.
I regret selling my Goose.
Dude, I want one. They look so fun.
They're cool. Like my problem with the Goose is I never fucking used it that much. I sold it because I bought a Mamiya Universal Press, but then I ended up selling the Universal Press because I didn't use that one much either. Because I got my my 4x5. I use that fucker a lot.
You got a Crown Graphic, right?
I had a Crown Graphic. I sold a Crown Graphic.
Red.
I've got a Vista 4x5.
Gotcha. Hell yeah. When have you done a lot of 4x5 work? I don't think you've like posted that much.
I don't share a lot of that one. What I've done mostly with the 4x5 has been pack film and instant stuff. There's like the photography I share, and then there's a lot of stuff that I just kind of, it's too personal.
Keep it in the archives.
Yeah, and that was like those sort of darker posts. Those were sort of on the cusp where it was just like, I wasn't sure about putting them out there, but I also really liked how they turned out, and it was also like, because there was a flip to that too, because like I shot back at first, but then what I've been challenging myself with a bit more is like, if I'm going to take pictures of people, I should be comfortable with the same thing happening to me. So we flipped the tables, and she took a few shots of me doing the stuff, and so like those ones I posted that were of me were shot by her, and that was one of the ones that got taken down because I was holding the hairdryer in the tub, and apparently that was too dangerous.
That was a sick photo. That whole series is like really sick too. It's like such a bummer they took it down, or they took some of them down.
Yeah. There's some like really cool ones in that series that maybe one day they'll get out there when both of us are comfortable with them. But I think it's important to make stuff like that.
Just have stuff that you don't like really share. Have like a boundary.
Well, not only that, but just like I don't think you shouldn't have any idea that you don't think is good enough to shoot. Like if you have an idea about something, you should just try it. Just see how it turns out, because you never know. Like, even if it seems like a ridiculous idea, you never know how it's going to be until it is. And also go back and look at your old work. Because that's something I've found. Oh, so go ahead.
I was gonna say that's something I've been doing too, and I made like a few Instagram posts of just like a lot of my like point and shoot stuff when I was like first getting into photography. It's like pretty crazy to like see the growth you've made. It's like, I don't know, I really fuck with like that sort of progression, of like a craft or a hobby, and just being able to see all that.
Well, and not only the growth, but I've found that there's been stuff that I hated when I first took it. I was like, this is total garbage. This is bullshit. Like, I should just trash this. And then I'll sit on it for a few months, and I'll look back on it, and I'll be like, I actually kind of dig this. Like, there's something different with that. And I think that like goes to like our talk about like, the different ages in photographers and stuff, is like our tastes also change as we start experiencing more and like being subjected to different things. And so like stuff that we would have thought was garbage at one point, we can appreciate differently later.
I posted some stuff from like my point and shoot era, like when I first started doing photography and like using disposables and stuff. And it's like a lot of those pictures were pictures that I took like two or 3 years ago, and a lot of them I like did not fuck with, like when I first got like the scans back. And looking back at it, like 3 or 4 years later, it's sort of cool seeing like, it's just, I don't know, those photos just end up looking cool. They end up feeling cool and being something that's like worthy enough to share.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
It's just fun to like experiment with shit and just see what feels right.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun, and I don't know. Photography is just like people. There's like a lot of people take like photography like way too seriously now, and it's like,
dude, I know.
Like they just forget to like just have fun with it. Like just like you can take Polaroids of your friends, like it's okay. Like You know, you can have fun with like photography. You can like use formats that people think are a joke. Like, I promise you, the police aren't going to come snag you. You know, like,
Well, they
you'll
might
be okay. You know, no one's going to get mad that you use a Voigtlander, you know, lens instead of a Leica lens. Like, I promise you'll be good.
Dude, I use a Voigtlander on the Leica all the time.
Dude,
like,
people get upset about that like so hard.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Why?
like it's like the Leica bro thing, you know. Like all the Leica bros are just like, you got to use a Leica lens, you know.
I don't understand why people get mad about that, though. Because, like, Voigtlanders are a fucking fantastically fine lens.
Yeah, they're great lens, and even some of the cameras that they have.
The Bessas are dope.
Yeah, the Bessa.
Yeah.
The whole Bessa line is like really good.
Yeah, I like. I've been like looking at Bessa R3s, and I've kind of like debated that, where it's just like, you know, maybe instead of doing a Leica, I should like just fucking get a Bessa. But you know, even those are expensive now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like film cameras just like shooting up in price now.
Well, it's because there's not
like
much.
So annoying.
Well, it's totally annoying. And I think it's because like there's just not that many of them out there. So, you know, you just gotta fucking contend with what's out there, and you know, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
So you want to go with an M6? That's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I sort of think about like all the time, like what happens if all the film cameras just like break? You know, they're like no more. They're just all gone. Like, are people just gonna start like buying broken ones and just start trying to repair them? You know, like what crazy like mods are gonna end up from shit like that?
Oh, I feel like that's part of like what Zane does. Like when he's like putting the cameras back together, like that's a lot of it. Like, you know, he's taking apart old cameras and you know, making them have life again.
Yeah, shit like that's like so cool. Like, man, shout out to Zane again for this beauty. Did you see that video? Did you see that video of like my Polaroid, the original 680, like this original 680, like falling literally like sideways and breaking the viewfinder?
No, dude. You caught that on video?
My buddy Ross did, and it's so funny in the video. It's like you see a drop, and this is like July 4th. You see a drop, and then I'm just like, it's fine, like clearly panicking, and then all my friends are just like laughing. They're like, dude, no way, this is fine. And that shit was crazy because like the viewfinder ended up breaking, and but it was still like a good camera. So, and like the mirror was still there, so I could still like see out of that mirror in the viewfinder. I just had to angle it.
Yeah.
And so my cousin's wedding was like 2 days later, and so I shot like 200 Polaroids at her wedding, like really good Polaroids, just using that like, you know, little trick. It's so funny.
Damn.
Dude, I gotta send you that video. It's so sick. It's so gnarly.
That would make my heart hurt. That's like a total like fucking pucker moment when yeah. I've luckily not destroyed any of my cameras yet. I've definitely had like some sketchy moments with the F5, but sorry, go ahead.
My 680 is like beat to shit. I like take that thing with me everywhere. I had to put some gaffer tape on the top because it has like a hole in it now.
So if your top case is fucked up, retrospect.
Yeah, they do the clear.
Yeah,
the clear like housing. Yeah, I remember on Zane's like IG live talk that he had with you. You mentioned that. I remember asking you about it. It's so like sick that like I have like the email to like go order that now. So like whenever this one breaks, I'm just gonna email the retrospect.
That's why the 680s are going to Zane, because my one 680 just needs a tune up, and the other one has some funky shit going on with it too. I can't remember what was wrong with it. Something at the focusing screen, I think. But he was gonna like swap out the case tops for me.
Dude, it's crazy. I was talking to Zane like while he fixed my 680, and he like did it in an hour. It was so crazy. Like swapped the entire body, swapped the flash and the sonar. Did the whole skin. It was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you're a magician.
Yeah, he's just.
Dude,
he does IT stuffs like us. He's just we're wired differently in the mind.
definitely throwing a little shout out in the chat for Zane. That's a legend.
He is a legend. That dude needs way more followers than he's got right now. He deserves it.
For sure. And his photography is dope. All the open S670 stuff he's doing. I've been meaning to like go to the GitHub and like read a lot of the code and like get into it, and try and like help out. But with this new job, I've been like so busy. And when he originally gave me that open S670 Polaroid, I just forgot. So it's like sitting on my shelf, just like hanging out.
Oh shit. Yeah, he did a sonar for me with the open SX70 board, but the curtain for the viewfinder pop-up, it's all fucked up. So the camera works good. It's just the curtain's all fucked up. So it's going back to Texas too for some love.
For some Zane loving.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, like he did a bunch of cameras for me, and FedEx like fucking Ace Ventura the shipment. Like it was rough. Like we had 8 cameras in that shipment, and only like 3 of them survived.
That shit's a big rip.
Yeah.
F's in chat for those Polaroids.
Exactly.
That's just crazy. That's I really want to see like artists nowadays, like more artists like use Polaroid, like how Andy Warhol and like Basquiat and all them back in the day were doing it. I want to see like more people do like more crazy creative shit with like Polaroids.
Well, yeah, like it. So why a lot of those dudes were making so much art with Polaroid too back in the days, like part of it was they liked the medium, but old Polaroid, like OG Polaroid, they invested heavily in the arts. Like, Warhol and all those guys, like hell, even Ansel Adams was on Polaroid paper.
Yeah.
And
it was literally on their payroll.
Yeah. And a lot of artists were. Like they employed a lot of artists to create with Polaroid, to test Polaroid. They had one of the largest private art collections in the US at one point, which unfortunately the banks cut up and sold during the insolvency, which pissed off a lot of the artists, because the only reason why a lot of artists that created for Polaroid agreed to give them the work was Polaroid was like, we'll never sell this. Like this is just supposed to be like a collection for mankind kind of thing. And when the banks got in there, they're like, this is a fucking treasure trove.
Yeah, it's like really disappointing, to see like, I mean, it makes sense from like a business perspective that like Polaroid is sort of now pandering towards like sort of the Urban Outfitters crowd, sort of like the creatives crowd, but like they're not really going like balls to the wall like they used to, and it's just sort of like disappointing to see like the crowd that they're pandering to, versus like pandering more to like the high arts and like the creatives, like, and these legendary artists,
Well, and a big part of that though is new like Polaroid today, they don't have the same war chest that Polaroid did when Land was still running the ship. Like before the shit really hit the fan, like Polaroid was like fucking mad rich. Like they had
from all the R&D.
Yeah, from all of the like wartime shit that they did, like, you know, it was wild, like the things they do, like, you know, in Land's Polaroid, which is a fantastic book. If you want to know like really cool stories of like the original Polaroid, Land's Polaroid is a great book. And the guy writes about like some of the projects that they do in there, and like, you know, he hired this one grad student to go to a city in like New Mexico and give every single resident, like man, woman, child, a Polaroid and give them film and encourage them to just like shoot. So it's like this town for a year had free Polaroid cameras and free film because Dr. Land wanted to see what would happen if like people had free access to this medium and what they'd create. And she was like, we spent millions of dollars on this town and there was nothing actionable that came out of it. It was just because he was curious and wanted to see what would happen. Like,
yeah,
how wild is that?
Shit like that is like so cool. Some of the old stories from like Polaroid is like so interesting. How like the SX70 only got its name because like they wanted to keep it secret from Kodak. They didn't want Kodak spies figuring it out.
Yeah.
And it came from like back when they would like number their R&D like experiments or whatever that they would do for like World War II. The SX70 just so happened to be like the 70th like R&D like thing that they worked on for themselves. And so the name just stuck.
The SX stood for Special Experiment.
Yeah.
So all of the projects that they did for the U.S. government were labeled SX and a number, and the last project they did for the government was 69, which is kind of hilarious in itself. Yeah, nice. But it's kind of hilarious that it ended on that. But they knew, or well, everyone knew that, like, you know, if they were working on an SX project, that they're not going to fuck with it. So
yeah.
That was how he snuck in the fucking SX70. And it was cool that they just kept that as the name for it.
Yeah. Have you read like some on the Open SX70 like blog? They have like a couple of posts from like the shareholder meeting that like Land originally did to like unveil the SX70, and it's pretty interesting. He like gave them, I forgot how the story went, but he like gave everybody like a card, and he was like, and the card ended up being like an actual like Polaroid print or something of like the original like Polaroid that he took, the original integral photo that he took, and it was literally just like this beautiful rose or whatever, and he like numbered each and every one of them, some insane shit.
I didn't hear about that one, but I heard when he showed the camera. And like, you know, he walked out on stage in his trench coat and he pulled out the camera from there. And everyone's like, the fuck is he doing? And he like pops it open, puts a flash bar on it, and just like takes a picture and then holds it up. And like everyone lost their fucking minds about it, because that's like, he was the original tech showman before Jobs started doing that kind of shit. Like, and it was actually kind of wild. Like, he was still alive when Jobs was doing his shit, and there were several private meetings between him and Jobs.
Was there?
Yeah. They used to meet.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, he's sort of like mentored Jobs a bit, which is kind of wild to think about too.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about like nowadays how like little Polaroid like means in a lot of people's lives, but like as far as like culture in general, like how much Polaroid has like affected, you know? Yeah. And how much like a lot of things are the way they are because Polaroid one day had a hand in it like 40 years ago.
And also, Outkast lied to everyone. Don't shake it like a Polaroid. It's this bad.
Don't shake it. That shit. Do you get this feeling too when like you take a Polaroid to someone and you give it to them and they start shaking it? You're like, no, stop, please.
So I don't give them the Polaroids right away. When I take a Polaroid of someone, I'll be like, okay, you gotta wait just a couple minutes because it needs some time to percolate. And This is what I usually do when I take a photo. I take the shot, it goes right in the armpit right away, because I want to like heat up the development a little bit. So I'll do like maybe like 40 seconds, 60 seconds in the armpit, and then I always keep the box. I put it back in the box, and then I put the box in my backpack so it could like do some developing in the dark. And then after a couple of minutes, I'll give the photo to the person.
I give the photo to the person right away, and I'm like, yo, you got to keep this face down for like 30 seconds, and you're good, like a minute, and usually it ends up fine. But sometimes I'll be like at a club, and I'll like take a Polaroid of someone, and like they'll start shaking it, and I'm like trying to yell like, no, stop, please.
And you just get further away. It's like, no.
It's really crazy how like well Polaroid, like the chemistry has gotten. Because nowadays, I've seen people shake it up, and I've seen people just like expose it to light, like don't like turn it like face down, and it still turns out like pretty fine, and it's like pretty interesting.
It's gotten a lot better. Like, you know, I think they get a lot of flack for not good reasons lately. Like, you know, people just like want to complain about it. I think it's definitely come a long way, and I also look at it too. Like, it's a really nice privilege to still be able to use these decades-old cameras. Like,
yeah, you know. It's people complaining about Spectra film. Everybody wants Spectra to come back.
I mean, Spectra has joined Pac Film in that great wherever. It's never coming back.
Dude, I'm actually not like a huge fan of Pac Film. Because it's like so wasteful. It's like there's like so much shit you always gotta hold, and it's like so annoying, and it's like the actual picture itself is like pretty big and clunky. Like, it's not like nice and small and square like a Polaroid is, you know? It's very like, I don't know, not ergonomically good.
That's fair.
But the pictures always end up cool.
And that's why I love it, is the clunkiness is what I love about Pac Film, because it's like it's a ritual when you take a Pac Film photo. Like, you know, there's all this work you have to do to make the photo happen, and
especially on large format.
Yeah, and then just like that moment when you get to peel it apart and you see that image, like, fuck, that's the best. That's
dude. I don't know who started it. I think it might have been Ben. But shout out to him or whoever for doing like the peels on reels. Those things are so cool. Just seeing like all these Instagram reels of like them like peeling apart like the film, and then everybody being like, "Whoa!" Like their minds being blown.
Well, and that's the thing that's so cool about instant film, is that it's so old and it's been around for so long. But it still fucking blows people's minds.
Yeah. Polaroids and like instant film in general are like the only like film format that people like look at and they're like still like astounded by, you know? They're still like, they still have like all this amazement towards, you know?
Yeah.
I've like argued with like my photographer friends and like my friends in general, just yelling into the abyss that like instant format is like the best like film format. You know, because it's like you get like some of the perks of digital, where it's like you get the instant photo, but you get like a physical print, and then you get like the looks of film.
Yeah, so you definitely get all that. And then what I really like about instant film is that it's also the most honest kind of photo you can take, because each frame is like the only one that you'll ever take of that, unless you buy like a Fuji printer or you know, one of the Polaroid like
the labs.
Yeah, but even then, each one that you make is not going to be exactly the same. Like, you know, it could project differently on the frame. You know, you could end up getting like a different sort of streak in that frame from the last one. So it's like, even if you're trying to make copies of a Polaroid, it's still not going to be exact.
Yeah, and especially considering like even if the picture is exactly the same, like the actual frame that you're shooting on could be different.
Yeah.
Like there are plenty of times where I've shot like multiples of the same photo, and it like the second one ends up like fucked because whatever reason, and the first one was like fine. Or it's like the only true like one of one like film there is. I think a lot of people sleep on Polaroid, to be honest.
Yeah. But it's picking up a little bit now, thanks to like YouTubers and stuff like that. So
yeah, everybody posts like all these famous like celebrities posting Polaroids on their Instagrams.
They just need like Kim Kardashian to get on that shit or something,
For sure.
Well, dude, man, it's been really great chatting with you. I've really enjoyed it.
Dude, hell yeah! Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, and dude, I can't wait for you to come visit Vancouver.
Dude, I'm gonna bring my copy of Quarantine Roids, and you're gonna have to sign it. I'm gonna need it.
I would totally sign it for you.
Hell yeah!
I had thought about it because like when I did my first book, I printed them, like I did a big order myself and had them shipped to me, and then I sold them and shipped them out myself. And when I did this one, I was like, I just don't have the energy to do that this time around. So I did that like sort of, I sort of signed it because I wrote this on my iPad.
Oh yeah.
And so I was just like, it's kind of a cop-out, but whatever. I'm just going to run with it. But anyone out there who's like picked up a copy of Quarantineroids and wants to track me down in the real world, I'll be happy to throw a little love note in there for you.
Hell yeah. My, book coming soon, hopefully. Be on the lookout next 2 months.
Dude, I'm excited to pick that up. I can't wait to grab a copy of it. And
I'm excited too.
Check that out, and excited to show you around Vancouver and shit. And I'm gonna play the outro music so we could like get us out of here. And dude, man, thank you so much for being on the chat with me.
Dude, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And next week I've got Jamie Maldonado hanging out with me. He's a dude I met off a Clubhouse, and a great photographer as well too. So looking forward to having him on the chat. Stay safe out there, and stay out of trouble.
Peace.
Love you guys.
Cheers.
All right, take care, man. Bye.
See ya.